Welcome to Girl Talk with your host, Melissa Ann. Girl Talk is that show which discusses the real issues Black women face being a mom, a dad, a wife, a girlfriend, a sister, a co-worker, a therapist, or whatever hat Black women wear on any particular day. Why? Because Black women are just dope. Without further ado, here is your host, Melissa Ann.
Welcome to Girl Talk with the boys and the girls this evening, hosted by myself, Melissa Ann. What a show we have for you this evening, where you can listen to all of our sessions on either YouTube, where we are actually trending, and as well as anywhere that podcasts are streaming. But tonight we have a group of topics that we are going to discuss to set the record straight. And we have a special guest with us this evening, and we will allow her to introduce herself. And then we'll go around and hear from the boys. Without further ado, Madam.
Hello. I am Demetrica Mathews, mental health professional. I'm licensed marriage and family therapist in the state of North Carolina. I am a relationship and family coach. Definitely trying to help keep the families healed. And I do have a practice called Healing the Family, Coaching and Counseling here in North Carolina, but serving everywhere. So check me out. You can definitely check me out on healingthefamily.life.
Nice. Thank you. So we specifically brought in the big guns tonight. Well, I brought in the big guns tonight to address a few of the topics that we've had in the past, because there's a few of us, and I'll allow Mr. 8000 to introduce himself, that seem to think women are old past 35. So I wanted to kind of have this conversation this evening to set the record straight. So Mr. 8000, you want to introduce yourself?
AKA Doc, AKA Roosevelt, AKA loving to be here. And I don't think women are old after 50.
That's not what your mouth said the other day. No, sir. Nope.
I know, man. You can't walk back on that kind of stuff, Jack.
It's recorded.
It's on video, right. And it's in the cloud forever now.
It's recorded, talking about you could get an old man at McDonald's. I got you tonight.
No. I said you could get a 70-year-old man at McDonald's.
Okay, got you.
Because there's like a 20-year difference.
All right. Okay. Teacher's pet. God's name for you.
You weren't supposed to answer that one, Mike.
I would just log off, man, if I were you. I would log off on that one, Jack.
Your homeboy gave you that title.
You can call me Mr. On Time, except this time.
Ooh,
Mr. Mike.
Ooh, okay, you came off the dome with that, son.
Hey, my bad. I got some dates crossed a little bit. So.
No worries. Brother Raz.
Yes, Brother Rasbo. You call me brother, you call me Rasbo, you call me Brother Rasbo. I answered all three. That's my introduction. It's good to be here. I always look forward to hanging out with y'all, politicking, and I look forward to this upcoming conversation.
And last but not least, my brother from another.
It's your boy. I changed my name for tonight. This is an actual mispronunciation and spelling of my real name. It's Kaizu.
I like it.
Yeah, it's nice, man. It has a nice ring to it, doesn't it? But hey, this is what we're talking about tonight. Facts over feelings, right?
Facts over feelings. And speaking of facts over feelings, there is a video that is circulating on the internet where a man got off from work and he's worked several hours, and his wife is at home and she has not cooked because she works from home as well. But she was really unbothered as she ate her pizza. And the conversation that I'd like to have with this group is, do you feel like she was obligated to make sure that his food was ready when he got home? Because he was really bothered by the fact that his food was not prepared when he got home.
He didn't seem bothered to me because he was making a video. I mean, personally, if I was bothered by something like that, I wouldn't be recording. It would just be.
That's
Well,
true.
he had anger in his voice.
Well, I mean, it could be perceived that way, but again, I mean, just my own personal feelings. You know who you're dealing with. I mean, you're married to a woman. You come home to that situation. The Nah, you're past that.
Yeah.
All right, let's. I want to change the playing field a little bit. I would not say like, hey, this is what I want to happen, and this is how I want things to be. If I'm in a relationship, the relationship grows organically the way it grows. It's not like I'm building anything. It is what it is. And if I gotta hold up, I gotta get Kai out of my frame because he's shaking his head. It's messed me up.
Nah, yeah, I
You
disagree with the
disagree?
whole. I do.
I would like to hear what you have to say. What you got?
Well, I didn't want to. I just. You can
No,
finish
no,
your
no,
thought.
no. No, 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 no,
Well,
no, no, no.
you know,
Let's talk. Let's talk.
there is an organic nature to relationships, but you also have to put in work. You have to define the boundaries of your relationship. You can't just willy nilly figure it out. A man without a plan and without a vision is going to perish.
But if she wasn't
Right.
cooking prior to when he met her, if she wasn't cooking, you don't automatically get dinner.
Do we know that for
You
sure?
don't, but I'm just
You know
saying.
what? Do you know what? In the proper context, you got to look at it like this. This guy just pulled in a 12-hour shift. Obviously, he just ate lunch. There is no dinner. He came home. She's eating for herself. She could have said, hey, you know what? I know this dude works. I know this dude pays all the bills. Here, I made you something. I mean, he has a legitimate point to gripe about. I mean, because what she did is kind of, I wouldn't say foul, but it's inconsiderate.
I have my views too.
I actually have to jump in here and disagree because we're missing some facts that don't substantiate this
Right. That's what
kind
I'm
of
thinking.
emotion. So, first of all, from what I heard from Melissa, it sounds like this young lady works from home. So she's working, so we can't say he's paying all the bills because we don't know that. That's one.
He says it. He says it in the video.
He does. He does say it in the video.
Oh, he says in the video that he's the one that pays all the bills. Okay, I haven't seen the video, so I'm speaking just
Yeah.
based on what Melissa has shared with us. Okay, so basically what I'm saying also to add to the point of brother Rasbo, um relationships organically. Yes, in a sense, but like Kai said, there must be work. And without a vision, yes, she will perish. It will perish. It will be destroyed. Um, Relationships are created and then maintained. There is no way that you think you're going to say, hey, babe, are you committed to me? I'm committed to you. Let's do this thing. And it's just going to work fantastically. No, you have to put thought and conversation in that. And it sounds like this couple didn't have a conversation, a simple conversation to say, hey, what's for dinner? Oh, babe, I'm ordering pizza. You want some?
Well, her pizza was from the night before, her leftovers.
But the thing is, like, I think all of that stuff should be worked out early on. If you're like knee deep in the relationship already, you're married, everything's already going on, and you come home and this is an issue. I don't see how that is a thing. Like I can't see myself allowing that to be a thing. To where I'm married to somebody and I come home and they're not cooking and they're eating in front of me and I'm pulling up a video recording them. Like I don't see that being a dynamic that makes sense for me. Like how did I allow that to happen in the first place? That's where it blows up for me. I don't get where that comes from. I just
And
don't.
honestly, if that's really an issue, why are you spending time videotaping it to put out to the public? Why are you not sitting down and
Yeah, I
talking
agree
to
with that.
your partner about it? If you're upset,
Bang
I don't
bang.
understand that.
Cause
Putting
that's
all
to-
your business
is
out.
that cause
You
that's
just as
toxic.
ignorant as she is.
That's our society now.
No,
Everyone's
that's
got
not
to
our
be TikTok.
society. That's not our no, Doc. That's not our society. That is not our society. That is what is being portrayed as our society, and it is not. I don't live that way.
Oh no,
I don't.
I mean, just because you don't live that way, I don't live that way.
So that's not our society then.
But that's the majority. We're the minority.
Well, the world has always been the way the world has been.
No, it has not.
No.
The world has advanced over and over again, and with these advancements come these addictions to these things called social media, the internet, porn, you name it. But I am not discounting the invention of the internet. That was, in my mind, one of the greatest inventions ever. Social media is. They're all platforms. I was once told by a preacher, the Bible is like a flute. You can play any tune on it. So the same thing applies. These things can be used for good. It can also be used for evil. We have to choose good.
One thing is, we don't know how busy she was, even though she works from home. I think a few of us can attest to working from home doesn't necessarily mean that you got all the time in the world to be doing other stuff, because they keep us pretty busy, those that do it. Number one. Number two, there probably was an expectation. Either she presented herself as the type of woman who enjoys cooking and she cooks for her man. I hear women say that stuff to me often, but that's not how I grew up. So, and I say it like that, meaning when I meet women, some women talk about their traditional ways of, feeling like they've learned to, cater to their men by cooking for them. I didn't grow up with my mom cooking for us all the time, so it's definitely not an expectation for me that a woman does that. But in their situation, that could be part of the problem. Maybe, he came home, and for him to be that mad, let's assume that he was mad. For him to be feeling that way, it obviously was something that happened more than once. I don't think that this one time he came home and this happened, but
That thing could have been a joke, and we all up here talking about it. And we're gonna see them. You're gonna see an ad come out with these two comedians who does sketches.
But you know what though? It could have been a work. But the message is still the same. The biggest thing is that I think that when the guy was annoyed, and this could be in any situation, is the fact that he came home from work and you're sitting there eating, and you didn't even think to say, "Hey, do you want something to eat?" It's like if you go over your house. If I come over your house and you're fixing yourself something to eat, you're like, "Yo, man, do you want some?" It's just common courtesy to do that.
But she had those leftovers from the night before. Not her fault. He sucked his down.
See what we got to deal with now, Demetrius?
You know what? Yeah. I hear you. So one of the things I want to say, honestly, sometimes what happens with social media is that we have a tendency to look at surface. We don't look beyond what we see, and we see what we see as fact. Honestly, there's a lack of maturity here, and there's a lack of maturity in a lot of places because our society is not that. I really beg to differ that our entire society is all about social media and having, this kind of, no disrespect, but lack of maturity here. I don't think that our whole society is that way. There are some people that are much more mature. And then the other thing, it is so clear to me that there's something else broken in the relationship. And so I don't know why we talking about this lady with her pizza, because she did what she needed to do to eat, and she should have been like, "Hey baby, if you want something, let me fix you something after I finish my pizza." but still,
She sounds selfish.
Well, I mean,
I think it's selfish.
I don't think it's
grab the
selfish.
milk right next to him.
I don't think we have enough facts to even come to a conclusion.
We don't. It was just a topic.
Right.
But you know what I think is selfish? Is those individuals that think that women past 35 are old. So shall we dive into our next topic about,
is this a personal
are
issue?
women really, after 35, are they old?
Can we elaborate on this women over 35 is old? Can we elaborate on that, please?
I made a joke, and Melissa's like a dog on the bone.
So I guess what we need to ask, in all honesty, to clear it up, because it's all, like, like Kai said, it's out there, it's in the world. So, Doc, Mr. 8000, what do you really believe?
Honestly, all joking aside, every person has their own merit. Old, young, certain things. You can meet a young girl who has an old spirit and connects with you. You can meet an older woman who's very immature and not connect with her at all. But yeah, it all depends on the person.
He is backpedaling like a mofo.
First off, these guys, none of you guys even, you know what? I'm not even gonna call everybody out, but let's just keep going.
Doc,
I'm the bad guy. I'm the bad
you
guy.
said it.
No, we didn't say anything, man.
I
can't
said it as
co-sign
a joke. I said it as a joke.
No.
I mean,
You
but
said
regardless.
it several times on several episodes.
I say it as a running joke.
Look, Mike just shook his head. Yes, you did.
I know I do. It's a running joke.
Are you scared now that we got somebody on
So
here
what
to
about
try to
men
verify?
over 35?
You're only as old as you feel.
I agree.
Now, some people do look old though, because they don't take care of themselves.
Yeah.
It ain't always how you feel. Sometimes you look old.
Really, like, for real.
You can feel young as you want, but you 35 and you look 50? Nah, dog, you ain't doing something
I
right.
think it's mind over
Oh,
matter.
no.
I think it's mind over matter. Honestly, it's not so much how you feel, but I think it's how old you think. You think of yourself. I mean, you know, I don't think any I don't think over 35 is old. I don't think that women over 50 are old, if that's women in, and I don't think that for men either. I think it's really, what do you define as old? Like, really? Like, if you
Yeah.
can live to 80, so you're going to say you're old at 50 or you're old at over 35? That sounds ridiculous. And that's that we have so much negative things that are out there towards women, negative things that are out there towards men too. And I think that it's a hard thing when we keep spouting those things that are negative, and that kind of chinks at a person's confidence, chinks at a person's self-worth. I think it's a better thing to actually talk and speak, and and things that kind of make sense, because 35 is, to me, is extremely young.
And I see it a lot on the internet too. Like, on social media, like if somebody is 50, like they call him P. Diddy uncle. And
He went from Diddy to Uncle, huh?
like if you read, like if he posts something
Unc
and
Diddy.
he answers or whatever, and they'll be like, he looked like somebody grandpa.
Probably.
Hey, I gotta say something, and it's probably gonna like whip back on me negatively. I do think after a certain age, society looks at folks as being over the hill. I think society looks at things as far as advertising. So you have advertising, and that is the nucleus of what is hot and hip and what is not. So like in your younger 20s, like uh from tweens to like 25, maybe not even 25, that's looked at as like that's the peak. You want to get those people hooked on whatever you got going on as far as advertising goes. Above that, people have made up their minds as far as music goes, as far as culture goes. And so that's what's looked at as being old. So by the time you start hitting your late 20s and your early 30s and your 40s and your 50s, it is looked at as being old. That's just the way it is, and we deny it because it's like, well, we're still young and we're still viral and we still have this and then we have that going on and we're just coming into our own, so we feel as though we're young and vibrant. But that's not the way the world looks at us. It's just not.
The thing called being in your prime, that's a real thing, I guess.
Precisely. And I think we need to be able to embrace that without feeling any type of way about it. Like you could be in your 40s, your 50s, 60s, 70s, and still be young and spry. But at the same time, you gotta you could recognize that the world is looking at you like you're old as dirt.
But nobody
It's
needs to
just the
be
way it is.
reminded of their age. No one needs to be reminded that. You know it every day when you get up and your knees are buckling, or you got to walk sideways down the steps, or you're not there yet, but you'll get there. Or you know it when your body is changing. You got gray hair. You know that you are aging. You don't need someone to remind you that you are aging. And
But
I
they're
think
going
that,
to.
but they should stop. They're going to get to that age
You
too.
want to change. You want to change the world.
Yeah, why not?
But see, the thing is,
what were you thinking when you were 15 years old? You were thinking 15 years old, like, oh, we need to stop doing this because it's hurting people's feelings.
We didn't do that. We didn't blatantly say we didn't have
Are
the
you
internet.
serious? Yes, we did.
We said
Without
it
the
to
internet.
each other. We didn't say it out loud to
We
older.
said it through every means we had accessible to us.
I didn't.
Now,
No, we only had local homeboys, bro. We didn't have this. Come on, man.
But
It was
Melissa,
We didn't have this kind of reach.
Right.
Has your
and I think
daughter ever referred to you?
Has my daughter referred to me as old?
This is a question for you and Kai. Has your kids ever, something to come up, and maybe it's music, maybe it's something, and they feel like you're not as cool because you're older.
No,
No?
I mean,
Okay.
she'd certainly say you're not cool. Or if I try to use a slang word, she'll be like, "Don't do it."
Yeah.
Something like that.
I think that's kind of what Rasbo was referring to when he was saying as a child.
No, I don't think he was.
okay, so are we saying that our society should be led by our children, or we should be led by marketing ploys, or what are we saying here? Because that's kind of what it sounds like. So yes, okay, granted. So when we were younger, teenagers, we looked at our parents and we probably say they are old or older or whatever we said. And then, of course, then we became our parents. So is there this window that we are only supposed to look through this window of this teen to 25 years old and see that as, the viable life? After that, then you just decrepit?
no, I'm saying this. I'm saying that the marketing, the powers that be, have always been the same. And children are marketed to. You catch kids when they're young. You teach them the music that they love and they hold on to it. You teach them the shows that they love and they hold on to it. All the cultural things are taught very young. And those are instilled in young people, and they hold on to them for their lives. When I think
Rasbo, can
about
I ask you a question? Do you say things like that to people?
say things like what to people,
You're old. Oh
You're
man,
old.
look at you. You're old. You yes or no? Yes, it's a
no,
yes or no question. Yes or no?
sometimes.
You
Ridiculous. Ridiculous.
Sometimes I do.
I'm saying, I have to ask this question. Who are you saying outright to them in their face, yo, you old? Who you doing
Derek will
that
say
to?
that.
Because I want to know what
Derek
they're
will say
saying.
Yes.
that.
Derek,
Yes,
Derek,
I speak to very young people, and sometimes I have to draw a very strict delineation between me and them. And I will say that I'm old. It is. It's
Oh,
true.
okay.
No. Do you
Not
say that to
not
other
older.
people?
right,
Derek leaned in on his mic to say it.
No.
right.
Do
Sometimes.
you say that to other people? You calling yourself
Yes.
old is one thing.
Yes. To
Mhm.
other
Okay, that's all
people.
right. I was making.
So you
All right
say
then.
to somebody like you
To young
old?
folks.
No,
I
not
will.
you're old. But if Kai was in a room or I was in a room, you would say you're old.
Well, I'm saying it right now. All of us are old in the eyes of young folks. There's none of us here that are 18, 19, 20, 30, even 30 years old. So yeah,
We
And I'm still a
seasoned.
whippersnapper. What are you talking about?
We seasoned. We're not old.
I don't think
We're
we're old. I
not
think
old.
we're
Okay.
just older. We're just
All right.
older than the
Yeah.
All right.
25 year
Y'all
olds.
be
We're older than the 15 years old. I just think that we're older. I don't think that we're old. What I classify as old is somebody
what
that's
it
in their 80s.
okay. Fair
But
enough.
they can't be old either, based on what you guys are describing.
When I was
At
a
some point, you
teenager,
old man.
I
It's
thought people in
now
their 20s were
be
old.
realistic.
That's just
But
me. I thought people in their 20s and their
they're in
20s
their
were
prime.
old. They may very well be. But what I'm saying, perspective is everything, though. The only thing we could change is our perspective. Our perspective is everything. So we're
It
saying,
is
like,
our
okay,
perspective. If it's not based in facts, then it's nothing. If your perspective is not based in facts, it is nothing. Okay? This whole cliche, oh, perspective is reality. My perception is reality. No, reality is reality. Reality will always trump perspective. Period.
I'm not going to argue with you. I'm not going to argue with you.
Another one.
Katsu. But what
God
I'm
bless
saying
you.
Melissa,
is,
uh, mm, so
all I
Melissa,
want to say is
I
this,
have a
yo.
okay.
Go ahead. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. I just want to ask Melissa. So for I feel like this was a tender topic for you. So do you feel like, and you've heard this repeatedly, so do you feel like you have, based on what has been said in these last few moments, do you feel like you've gotten closure to this?
From Doc's perspective, yeah. But I still see, or maybe not, because you trying me with the
No,
kid
no, no.
sitting
First
over
off,
there.
we're all old.
No, we're not. But listen, what like, it bothers me when I see it on the internet for sure, especially things like there's really cruel things that people say to our generation. Like Kiana told me someone was talking about how you gonna tell us what to do? Y'all were born crack babies. That's cruel. That's cruel. So I don't think it is something that those kids should be joking about.
They shouldn't.
But
And I think it's because they
they're
again are extremely misinformed of the gravity of
right.
those times. And they don't
Exactly.
Well,
know their parents might have been that crack baby. They don't even know because the crack babies had to grow
they
up.
don't know
They
what they're saying.
got detox, and fortunately for some of them, you don't know what happened to them. So I think it's a lot of
Right.
misinformation
They
and
heard the word
um,
and used it. I don't think that
Youth is
they
wasted on the young. How about that?
yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. But anyway, I think
Mm.
yeah,
And
I
then
have closure,
I want
but
to
there's.
speak real quick
Go ahead.
to Doc. He said we're all old. I don't classify myself as old. So I just want to
We're
retract
not
that.
old, but chronologically, we're not the same place where we used to be. I mean, I walked on the basketball court, and when I was 18 years old, I could stand underneath the basket. I could jump up and touch the rim with both hands. I mean, hell, I was happy just to touch the net. I played. I played basketball with against Kai's son a couple of years ago. I swear to God, after I was done with that game, I went home and took a nap.
For the record, it was way longer than a couple years ago.
Well, still, well, I still won, so that's even
It
worse
was
for
like
him.
it was like 10 years ago, just for the record.
Oh well, either way, it's bad for him because I won.
Does that mean you're old or you're out of shape?
Either way, it's bad. I mean, it was an ugly game on my part. I was dying, and am I not? Am I still the same guy I was when I was 18? Hell no.
Yeah,
Hell, I'm
you're
not the same guy.
older, not old. All right. So last topic of the evenness. Um. So the question is, we've had this conversation amongst the boys before, and I debated that if you have a son or a child of, I don't know, I said 30 years old is when they should mature and get up out your house in this day and age. The guy said 25, I think.
At the latest.
And Rasbo's saying
I said
18,
17. 17.
17. And Demetrius said 25. What'd you say?
Yeah, I say 25 is a good age because at that point, from a developmental perspective, they're, y- you know, Physically, their brain is at that point fully developed. They should be able to cognitively understand their responsibilities in the world if they're not smoking weed or vaping or whatever else that's toxic to the body. Um, yes, they should be in a position to be able to move out on their own, provided that they were taught and trained to do what they needed to do that. 30 years old is way too old. That's like way too old. And I do agree with 25 being the cap. I just think that at that point, as a man, a young man, their parents, whomever they are, should have provided them with enough tools, and they should receive those tools. You can give the tools, but for them to receive those tools, by that time they should get it. They should have it. And honestly, I believe that not just for young men, but I believe that for girls too, in certain cases.
In this era where they just like raising rents, your rent might be something one day and then the next day is something else.
I think that's different than like young folks that just don't want to get out though. I mean, if there's a
Yeah.
circumstance and you're trying, then that is what it is. But there are clearly some people who will not go out and be on their own, and that is where the problem is.
You know what? In this life, there's going to be adversity. In this life, there's going to be adversity. Rent's going higher, people losing jobs. This is going on in the world. This is not going on in the world. At a certain time, you got to toughen up and be a man. Because sooner or later, you're going to have your own kids. You're going to have your own family. You're going to have your own wife. You got to take care of stuff. Everything's not coming after you real easy. You're going to have adversity. You got to have to knuckle up. You can't say, oh, well, COVID happened, so you can stay another year. No, get the hell out. Oh, well, the job market's kind of tight. No, get the hell out. You got to go pay your bills. You got to go make your way in life. You can't live with your mother the whole entire time. Your mom can't make your dinner. Your mom can't be making your bed. And some of these guys can't leave. Some of these guys can't do their own laundry. God knows what they know about hard work. So no, at 25, get the hell out. You can't stay.
Yeah, I was going at 17, yo. My mom's I couldn't even sign myself in the military. My mother had to sign me. I was saying, I'm out of here, yo.
Right
I'm
here
up out of here. And the reason was because I had a son at 17 that I had to take care of. So I had to join the military to make some money to provide for my kids.
Yeah, be a man.
Exactly. I knuckled up. At 17, I knuckled up.
And if you're at 25 and you don't know how to make your bed or do your laundry, that is a parental problem.
But I mean, if they living at the house at 25 though.
I mean, the stuff I'm talking about is a real thing.
If they living at the house, like Michael said, and there's complications with their launching, which is what we call it, launching out. If they have a failure to launch, then that's understandable. If they're actually trying to do something and they're pulling their pieces together, then okay, they're knuckling up, pulling their pieces together so they can get out. I get that. You can hold the fort down. Now you can have them go out, and if they come back and they're still under 30, they gotta go. They gotta hurry up and go. That's like 6 months. You got 6 months to get out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's from a developmental space. Sometimes your kids go and then they come back because they, it didn't work out so well, or they just, have a failure to launch. But I just don't think that from a healthy standpoint, from a healthy develop, it's all kinds of variations to the cases. But I just think that is the most appropriate time.
I hear you. I feel you on that too, Mike. I had to get up out of the house. I needed to be independent. 17 is when I left the house too, and then not for nothing. 17 is when the options, once you graduate high school, is when the options start being available to you. So if you have zero other options, if you have no other option, you still have the option to get the heck up out of my house. And it's not on the strength of you need to get up out of my house because of anything, but it probably is because I mean, like I probably have things I want to do in my house that don't involve you. You feel me? But you do have options. You can't come back and be like you don't have options. Like I set you up for success, at least to join the military.
Yeah.
Like I don't. What did I do not to prepare you to at least join the military? Now I get where people are coming from. The times are tough, things have changed, and yada yada yada. I get that, but I just don't come from this
The
particular
military is still
era.
always an option.
It's always an option. Thank you. That's all I'm saying. And I don't mean to be disrespectful. I realize that people today, like parents today, are going through things that are different. But at the same time, you can't be given those different options and then complaining about the way society is at the same time. Like I take issue with that. And with all due respect, because I don't know. I'm not a parent. I'm not a parent. I got to throw that out there too. I'm not a parent,
Yeah, and there's a difference.
but
There's a
I feel the
difference.
way I feel.
I feel like I'm missing some backstory here. Like, I mean, I don't understand. Like, is somebody's kid still living at home and they're over 25? Is
No,
that what we're
but
talking about
some
here?
of this had to do with
No?
dating,
Right.
dating a guy who is under or dating a guy who is trying to get himself on his feet and he's over 30, and we were just like the women were saying like up to 35, and we were like hell no,
Nah, that's
that's
too
way
old.
too late. And so they were asking what do we think, and granted, all of us are doing very well, but all of us also got our start in our teens. We all got out and got on our own, and none of us ever looked back to go home. And so a lot of us look at these men today, these young men, who are really just boys. If you can't get out and get on your own, and you don't have that fire to do it, what is the problem? What is being handed over to society?
Mm.
And then from there, are going to complain about the kind of guys that they're being handed to deal with, and it's like you don't see what the problem is. The
Like,
problem
oh,
is,
Mike,
I'm just
can I
saying
upvote you?
that's what the issue is. All that ties together. But that can work hand in hand
Yes, it does.
with a woman who hasn't matured as well and being on their own. You can have a conversation with a guy or girl who is a later in age. Let's say they're 30. Let's say they're 35, and let's say it's someone who still has these connections with their parents that will do anything for them, including let them move on back home. You can tell those personalities. And is that really what you want to deal with? That's all I'm saying.
Yes,
Grow
that's
up.
exactly
Grow up. Not just grow up. Grow the hell up.
Grow the hell up. I left my house at 25. And the only reason I left is because my mom told me that no men could go past the living room. And I was like, no man could go past the living room. And she was like, I don't care if you're 80 years old, no man is going
I
past
heard
that
the
living
word,
room.
mama.
I was
Yeah.
like, let me
That's
look for
right.
something right now then, sis. And that's what
You know what though? But the thing is though, it's her house, her rules. And your mom
That's
had
right.
rules.
That's right.
Your mom had rules.
Yeah,
But I already had a
yeah,
baby at
yeah.
that
And
point.
there can't be no. And honestly, I left when I was 19. There can be no two queens in a household. You can't have two queens, you can't have two kings.
Mm-mm.
It's not gonna work. If they trying to take over and be the king of the home, or they're trying to take over, it's just not gonna work. They gotta go.
Yeah.
So when that starts to peak, then they definitely need to be out. But yeah, I don't know about dating somebody who is 35, over 30, and they are still with their mom. Like, and not for nothing, I don't subscribe to the military option all the time. I know that that's the way that a lot of people had to do it because that was what they had in their hand. But I just would rather them go to somewhere and get a 6-week course in some kind of trade and bust their knuckles up until they can
You know
get
what?
them.
If they haven't learned discipline, they need it. They need it.
Yo, if you don't have
Well,
anything else,
yeah, yeah,
then yeah, you got to do what you got to do.
yeah.
And not for nothing, I wouldn't dismiss the military option altogether, because the military option for some folks is done incorrectly. Other folks, it
That's
can
right.
be done right.
I mean, for
It
some
can be
people,
done right. It depends on how you do it. it's not
Hmm.
just about the thing itself. It's about how you do that thing.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I
Because
and that
there's plenty of people that have
Mm.
gone to the military and came out and didn't have
they didn't
anything to
get any
show
further
for it.
than when they went in.
Right.
And
Precisely.
so, just real quick on that topic, because that would, Melissa, that would be a
Oh.
good topic for us to cover one day. Is I actually enjoy having conversations with young men or women that are interested in going in. I like to give them the playbook and
Right.
make them
Exactly.
specific, because if you don't know, they're just going to throw stuff at you and just pull you in when you could have made a good decision and set your life up right if you know what
Hmm.
you're doing. And it's not that hard. It's not that hard.
Hmm.
But we can let's talk about that one day.
Well, one thing I gotta say is a lot of people lead a lot more discipline in their lives, and the military is not a bad place to get it.
I think if there's another option, I this is my personal opinion. Yes, I agree with the military, but I just feel like if there's another option, just because of the state and the condition of our country at this point, I don't know what it was back then when you guys went in there and what was happening in our world, but the way that things are happening now, like I would literally take my boys, I would take my boys and they would have to go to another country.
For some people, you know what? Some kids
Yeah.
deserve it. There's nothing wrong with the military. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. If you don't have discipline in your life, you have no order, no control. Someone needs to put a foot in your ass.
You gotta wash your boots.
Well, we got to find another way to do it. I can't. I couldn't let them be out
I
there fighting
agree.
for.
Mike, when you host,
You
you could
know.
talk about it.
Yeah, I think if you set yourself, I mean, if you go in and choose something that is something you can actually use when you get out. I mean, it could be the difference between you getting an offer to re-enlist for, I don't know, 60, 70 thousand dollars, or taking a job in the field you chose and make 100 to 150 when you get out. A lot of people don't know that. So what you go in to do doesn't necessarily have to be the one that you decided. And recruiters will try to convince you to just take whatever is available. Another
Yeah.
thing is
They'll lie to you.
going to college while you're in the military is extremely cheap. You don't even have to use your funding at
Hmm.
all. We were paying like $5 to $30 per class while we were in the
So,
military.
did all
So
of you get your degrees in the military or when you got out?
I got it when I
Out.
got.
That's a whole nother story, boy.
Yep.
A black
And we
man's
all
fight
know
against his own confidence.
Mm.
we all
Wow.
know that when they recruit in a totally different neighborhood for enlisted ranks, and they enlist and then officer ranks. They're two different neighborhoods.
Hmm.
But we'll get into all
Yeah,
that.
let's table that for when you host.
Sergeant Mike, you gonna come in uniform?
That's right.
Put on your tight little Marine
Forgot.
uniform.
I didn't even catch everything I said.
You said you had your tight little uniform. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have laughed.
Well, this has been a really great topic. I hope that all of you enjoyed the conversation. Any parting words for us, Coach?
No, I don't have any. I think it's just I the only thing I can say like to us and to your audience is to let's think a little deeper. Let's not be at the surface of everything and just look at things on the surface. Dig a little deeper and do some self-reflection on what you're thinking and believing because belief really is powerful. So, I think that that is really important and that'll shift the dynamics of how we actually treat each other and how we show up in the world.
Did you want to add anything about where the listeners can reach you and services you provide?
I do coaching and counseling, mainly with relationships and, of course, mental health concerns, deal with trauma, past grief. And I can be found on healingthefamily.life, and you can check me out there. We can do a consult. And I want to say this is really important. Yes, I am a therapist, but I'm not everybody's therapist. So, a therapist is a professional relationship. And just because you do really well with me, Somebody else may not do very well with me, but we can give it a whirl. We can give it a try and see what happens.
You have been privy to another episode of Girl Talk with the Boys. We are so glad that you decided to listen and join in with us. Thank you, Demetrius, for your words of wisdom. We totally enjoyed it. And as always, I see you because I am you.
You have just listened to the Girl Talk podcast with your host, Melissa Ann. Subscribe to our podcast on iTunes, Spotify, or Google Play. Until next time, remember, I see you because I am you.